Hi.
Chris Cartman, Son of a Source. That was quite an emotional experience for you and all of the players. So, how are you guys responded since then? Do you think, and what are the keys to making sure that you guys stay on track?
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw when we didn't practice a certain way. We saw when we did practice a certain way. And then we got to get better in a lot of areas. We got to get extremely better in special teams. We got to get extremely better in the red zone. We got to get better on defense at the end of the game. So I think everybody knows that there's still an urgency to get better. Still difficult to do off emotional wins. It's a challenge. Anybody who says that's not, it's an absolute lie. It's a challenge to wake back up and go right back to having a chip on your shoulder and getting better. And so that is the challenge this week, is focusing on us to push and get better and better and better.
And to your point there, like how exasperating has it been, the persistence of some of the red zone or the special teams issues, and does anything need to be changed philosophically or structurally with those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's bigger than just like one scheme. It's like, oh, we have we're practicing our little speed toss, and we haven't practiced it with Makua, and like it was just an uncomfortable timing thing. So he was like, snap it, not, that sucks. Like he hadn't got a lot of reps of it. So you have that, and that's unfortunate. Then the other penalty down there was a false start, but it's timing the cadence. So it was like false start that gets called one every 10 times, maybe type thing, because you're timing your own cadence, and it's like that little advantage. Remember that video in the NFL of the tackles always leaving early, right? And they allow it to happen. That's kind of what every team tries to do. So it's one of those scenarios that just sucks. So I mean, for a variety of reasons, I would say on offense, we're struggling. On special teams, I think we just got to focus more in on detail, like we're not squeezing edges. We're not doing fundamental stuff well. So we kept the entire team in special teams meeting today, every coach, every player, and I said, I'm going to run this thing. We're going to watch every clip, and we're going to get this fixed. So that's a priority for me to try to improve that area of our football team.
Hi, Kenny. Hood Rubino, Devil's Digest. It's probably no coincidence that the best two games that Sam has had, TCU and Texas Tech, is where he got a lot of receivers involved, 8 different receivers involved against TCU, 7 last Saturday. What do you think changed in that matter of just being able to get more receivers involved the last 2 games versus the games preceding that?
Yeah, I think he's just getting a feel for the team. You know, early in the season, you have your comfort zone of the guy that you're used to throwing to on game day, and it's comfortable there. And I think he's just getting a feel for the guys and getting comfortable with other guys in the field. We're getting a feel for our team with how to, put people in the best position for them to succeed and what their strengths are and what we can remember, how much plays we can carry. So I think it's just a multitude of things. But he's played a really good last 2 weeks that he's played football.
Doug Franz Unplugged podcast. 2 questions. Injury update. How's JT? How's Sam? How's people in general?
Yeah, we'll get most of that tonight, to be honest. Those guys were still, they're in good spirits today and from that perspective. So we'll get most of that after all the imaging and all that comes back tonight.
And secondly, kind of a philosophical question about getting players ready. Can you actually respect an opponent too much? Meaning, in trying to be so disciplined defensively because Utah demands it, can you actually coach kids into being not aggressive because they're trying to be so disciplined, and then you turn around and erase that and just say go in the next week? Because it is such a stark contrast between the last 2 Saturdays. Yeah,
paralysis by process. If you're paralyzing your team through how much they have to process, right, you're going to play slower. So you have to be able to play football fast. And I think some teams, everybody has different ways that they want to make a team process. Some people, line up in FIB. Some people line up in unbalanced. What are you going to do there? Some people tempo. Some people put an extra tackle in the game. They go tackle over. They come out of a huddle, right? They're trying to make you process things to slow you down, to make you not play fast. So usually simplicity helps that. And you can play, the faster you play, the quicker you get lined up, the quicker the call's in, the faster you play, the better you are. So 100% that can happen.
Hey, Kenny, Max Pitt, Walter Cronkite Sports Network. Speaking of respect, there's one thing that I know you love. It's talking about other teams getting respect that they deserve or don't deserve and that sort of thing. Houston, 6-1, necessarily a team that, in many people's eyes, hasn't received a whole lot of respect. Had to beat Oregon State on the road in overtime. A team that's won one game has had to struggle against teams like Arizona and obviously got blown out by Texas Tech at home. Can you reiterate for the record that Houston is a team that shouldn't be disrespected? As it seems in the landscape of the national media from what you've seen on film?
I mean, they're 6-1 and they've lost to a top 15 team in the country. I mean, I don't know what else you want. They win games. You know, so everybody wants flash nowadays. Everybody wants to post like social media how we're going to kill somebody and destroy them in the game and we're tougher than them and we're coming to their house and going to dominate. Like, it's all flash. At the end of the day, you know, their head coach there has won a lot of games for a long time at a lot of places. Just winning games by playing good defense, complementary offensive football, possessing the ball, taking care of the football, not hurting themselves. And just because they win with that style, people necessarily don't flock to it. It's a very, very effective style to win football games and to win them at a high level. And that's what Coach Fritz does. Coach Fritz wins. He always has won. He is winning again. And their football team is 6-1 with one loss to a top 15 team. So they're a phenomenal football team because they're balanced. They play to each other's strengths. They have an identity, and that's what leads to winning. So we were the same way last year. Like, nobody thinks you're good until you start beating people. Like, oh, maybe they are good, or they got lucky. Maybe that other team's not that good, right? It's just the nature of the world, right? So this is a very, very good football team, and our guys better strap it up.
And to bounce off of that, what have you seen from Connor Wigman on film that makes him, even though he's been a journeyman, has been to so many different places, had a battle injury, what have you seen from him on film that makes this probably the best season of his career?
Yeah, I mean, he's a duel. They put him in positions to where you have to treat him like a triple option quarterback, even though he's not. But they do enough of it to make you count his hat, to where they get you in coverages that they can expose you down the field with their passing game. They're very good at quick passing game. So they get the ball out really fast. They take shots, and then they add +1 runs with their quarterback. That's all you need in football, right? Make you add your hat in the fit by quarterback +1s every once in a while. That create explosives. Throw the ball over your head when needed, and then throw it so fast that it frustrates your pass rush. And they have a really good philosophy on how to play offensive football, how to get into good hat counts. And that's why they move the ball methodically down the field on people. That's why their time of possession is so high. And that's why they're 6-1, is they have a philosophy on how to win. They're not just playing offense and defense and special teams. They're a team.
Hey, Coach. Julia Lopez here with Arizona's Family. A couple questions. The first one is, you mentioned you talked to a couple of coaches to kind of just recalibrate yourself. Can you share which coaches those were?
I'm not going to share that out of respect for them.
Yeah.
So.
How did those conversations go? And, like, I guess, can you just describe the relationship with them?
Yeah, they're just guys that I have a lot of respect for, that have won for a long time. And I just pick up the phone and call them and say, this is what we're going through. You've been through everything. So tell me how you would handle this. Tell me what you would do. And then just try to listen. You know, I think sometimes you need other people outside of the building to, you know, ask questions to. And I call a variety of people, guys I've worked with, guys I haven't, you know, just to get opinions, whether it could be a scheme for a guy that I know is like really good at, you know, is a quarters guy. All he does is play quarters, or all he does is play 3 week, or all he does is bring simulated pressures 1 week. And I may call that guy and be like, hey, facing a sim team, talk to me. What don't you want to see? And then it may be culturally, and I call a coach who I believe has an unbelievable culture and say, what did you do here to establish toughness in times like this? So I think it's just, you know, calling the people who you think's their expertise in those areas and listening, because, you know, I'm still new to this. I'm still learning every day. I'm still trying to get better. And I think the day that I try to stop getting better is the day that I'm going to start to get worse.
And then during your post-game interview on the field, you got emotional. I think that was the first time we've ever heard you speechless. Just what was that emotion like?
Was that a shot?
You? Yeah.
No, it was just for the guys to battle back from the week prior, right? You know, in this world, you go from hero to zero. You go from in the castle to in the outhouse overnight. I mean, there's not a transition period. You're just there. That's where you go. There's no middle ground in this thing. You're either elite or you suck. There's no such thing as average or good. You're either great or you're horrible, right? And that's the world we live in. So to see our guys, we've talked all offseason about response to failure, not response to success. How are we going to respond to failure? How are we going to respond to failure? And to see our guys fail at such a high level and our team fail at such a high level and us respond at equally as high of a level, that was pretty cool to see.
Hey, Kenny, Blake Neiman, Fox 10 News. Brian Carrington's been a critical part of this coaching staff since you brought him on in your first season. If you can think back to when you first brought him on, what caused you to believe in him, seek him out, and then ultimately give him his first opportunity as a position coach?
Yeah, he's a people person. I think anytime that you can build relationships at a high level, I think coaching is the easier part. I think building relationships, building trust, getting guys to play hard for you is the hard part. So for him, he was a guy who's always been great at building relationships. So I wanted to bring him in just because his relationships in Texas, his relationships with players, and it's been good for us. I think we had 8 starters from the state of Texas on the field last week.
And just what's it kind of been like to see his personal growth as a coach and a recruiter as well in these past 3 years you've been together?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to watch all coaches grow. Coach Carrington grow into his role. Other coaches grow into their roles. And it's fun to watch, guys get better at their craft or tweak what they're doing or how they're coaching something. So I think that's everybody's challenge is to get better. And, some people get better at their strengths and some people get better at their weaknesses. I think the people that are willing to attack their weaknesses, even though they're vulnerable there, those are the people who really excel. And the people who just want to double down on their strengths, those are the people who peak, not where they could. So I think hopefully we have a staff and a team that wants to double down on improving our weaknesses so you can get higher.
Hey, Coach. Kevin Hicks, ASU on SI. Another question about Houston. You mentioned how sound they are, how well coached they are. What challenges in specific do they present the offense this weekend? How does a player like Shimon, who's been really coming on the last few weeks, factor into that against them? Yeah,
Shimon is a phenomenal player. He is an unbelievable blocker, great pass catcher. You saw him make somebody miss in space. I think he's a Sunday player. I don't think there's any doubt in that, in my opinion. So that's a guy who his versatility and whether he's in pass pro, whether he's run blocking a defensive end, it's going to be a first rounder, whether he's catching passes, has to be a continued weapon for us. And that tight end room as a whole, I think, I don't know the stats, but I think Coach Mons and whether they're Monstars or something, whatever they say, I think they were, we're one of the tops in the country in 12 personnel right now. Production, he knows the stats. You may have to ask him.
Hey, Kenny, Jacob Brooks, Sun Devil Source. In the offseason, you talked a lot about ASU building a brand and getting recognized nationally. There were a ton of recruits at the game, and then you guys make a statement defeating a top 10 team. Fans storm the field. The players are celebrating with them. You go viral for a video that Kyson Brown posted in the locker room hitting the worm. What do you think that overall energy does for ASU's pitch to recruits and overall national spotlight? Yeah, well, he shouldn't have posted the video. You're not supposed to post videos in our locker room, so that's one. But I mean, nowadays, even the video he posted, that wasn't even me. That was AI. So like, you don't even know what is real. So like, I don't know. That'd be awesome if I could do the worm like that. That'd be pretty cool. But I'm not quite that cool. But AI makes me look cool. So yeah. But I do think the viral moments are good for a brand. And they're good for a culture with your team as long as you can respond from them and understand that, once today hits, like it's over. Like nobody cares anymore. Like, what do we got to do to get better? How do we improve? Because if we don't constantly improve, we're going to have more moments like we saw 2 weeks ago, not more moments like we saw this last week.
Hey, Coach. Logan Stanley, Arizona Republic. Last season, you guys went 56 calendar days without a made field goal. Just how is having Jesus changed the complex of the offense, and how did you describe his impact?
Yeah, we can kick a lot more field goals. Now people are, I have my dad and people like, why are you kicking so many field goals? Last year it was like, why do you always go for it? they're my voice. My family usually gives me the beat of, I guess, the fans, right? Because they're always, why are you kicking so many field goals now? You don't go for it anymore. Like, golly, I don't know what y'all want, right? I'm just going to do what I think is best. So to have a guy like that back there, be able to kick field goals and make them and have confidence, it's won us a couple games. Him being back there, so that's been a critical piece of our team this year.
Hey, Kenny, Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. Just how have you seen Keith develop into the defensive back he has been over these past couple of years?
Just work. I mean, he just works every day. I was sitting there with D-Walk the other day at practice on Thursday or Wednesday or something like that. We were just looking at Keith and walk through, and he takes the perfect step and walk through, and his eyes track the hip, and it's like you wonder why he's good. Like, he's so detailed. And he does that in everything. It's not just football walkthrough. He does that in academics, being in the Barrett School. He does that in the weight room, which is why he's the heaviest he's been. He looks great physically. So it's just the pure want and focus to be good every single day. And then he's an unbelievable personality and kid and funny and vibrant. Like, he has all that stuff too.
Hey, Kenny, Damon Allred, Arizona Sports. You said post-game that you would address the fourth quarter special teams miscues later. What did you see with those after watching the film?
Yeah, just really bad football. I mean, bad football, embarrassingly bad football that I'm going to get fixed. So like I said, we kept the entire team in our special teams meeting today. And we said, we're going to watch every one of these plays together, quarterbacks, O-line, I don't care. You're staying in here because everybody needs to understand how important this was to winning and losing a football game. And I haven't done a good enough job making sure people understand the importance. And it was a reality check this last week for us as a football team to get better at that area. And there's going to be an improved intensity, an improved effort, an improved mindset in those phases of the game, because that was just unacceptable.
And then you touched on him a little bit, but what was just your overall assessment of how Makua did? And is there a situation where when Wade is healthy again, he might go to left guard and Makua sticks at center?
I don't want to get into that yet. I thought he played really well. I mean, other than the one snap on the kind of trickier sugar huddle, run up to the line play, great snaps, great tags. And he held up versus really, really good football players. So I thought I was very pleased with how he played. I don't want to jump to, what's next yet. I want to get guys back, get guys healthy, see what the best combo is from there.
Kenny, this will mark the 5th out of the 4 or 5 game stretch against teams from the state of Texas. I guess what have you kind of learned through this stretch against those teams, and what it's meant to kind of be in those markets to attract, the Texas to Tempe recruiting movement? Yeah,
obviously you want to perform well in areas, right, that you primary recruit. Unfortunately for us, we don't play games in California anymore, which sucks. I'm trying to get as many I wish we could get out of every non-conference game and play every non-conference game in California to get us back into that market, not just for our fan base, but for recruiting for all of our fans in the LA, the San Diego, the Northern Cali area. Like, I would love to move a lot of our non-con away games there. I think that makes more sense for us. But right now, most of our non-con games are in Texas, and we play games in Texas because we used to be in a different league. So it's definitely critical to be, to show well in an area that's a primary area. And our guys have done that so far, but it's never changed how I prepare, how I plan. That's just a byproduct of preparing and playing good football.
All right. Hi, Kenny. Tyler Weiss, Walter Cronkite Sports Network. Dean Connors last week with 100 rushing yards. You talked earlier about Wigman being a duel. What do you think Houston does schematically that makes this pair and their overall ground game effective? Yeah,
they have a really good balance of triple option runs, reading an end, mixed with quarterback direct runs to where they're just coming at you. And if you're in single high, you're short of hat every time, right? It's a math problem. Some certain types of schemes you can scheme up to defeat, right? Quarterback direct runs, every coach in college football knows, a math problem, right? It's not a secret. Combined with then him, vertical play action game and quick passing game, allowing guys to run the football. So I think it's systematically, I think they do a good job coaching And then they get into good plays. They check with me a lot at the line of scrimmage. They tempo a few times to keep you unbalanced. I just think Coach Fritz and that staff do a really good job. I mean, you don't win at the level he's won on accident. I mean, I think that's the best way to put it. Like, it's not an accident that they're 6-1. It's not an accident that he's won everywhere he's been. They do a really good job. And I think their players, on top of that, execute the plays at a high level. And when you do that across all three phases, you win a lot of games. For them, they've won 6. There's a reason for that.
Coach now at Rosenberg State Press. What's been your assessment of the conference up to this point? And as we mentioned a lot of the times with the one-loss teams, how difficult has it been just constantly going up against such difficult matchups?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, another one-loss team we get to play, so that's great stuff. It's great. It's good stuff. So it's just deep. This conference is just so deep across the board. You never know who can win any game. Anybody can beat anybody any week in this league, and that's the challenge of the league. And that's why every game just has to be so singularly focused on this is the most important game. And you just got to survive. And it's like, survive. All right, survive again. Right? Take a deep breath for 12 hours, then survive. And repeat for as long as you can go.
Good afternoon, Coach. Andrew Hazlett, Devils in Detail. What's it like coming off of an emotional win to get ready for this next game against Houston?
Yeah, I mean, it's just you got to get your guys refocused and get them ready to go. It's difficult, kind of what I said earlier from that perspective, but it's a challenge, and our guys got to be ready to step up to the challenge of getting refocused and giving that level of passion and energy, the next 6 days.
And then another question: what's it like managing the human being side with players with injuries?
I mean, that's the most important part is the people, not the player. So I think, the people make the player. And so many times in college sports, people worry about the player. In reality, the person, if you can get the person to just be happy, to want to work, to be inspired, right, he becomes a better player. So for us, it's always about the person, one, the player second. Like, people on our staff call me crazy. I don't know all of our players' numbers. I know who they are. I could tell you their names. I could look at them and say, or see them run or see them walk and be like, oh, that's Clayton, right? I could see Boogie or X or Sam. I'd be like, oh, that's Sam. That's JT. That's Jalen. But I don't always know their numbers. I know them as people, and I do that directly. I want people to know people in our program, not a number. 32, come here. No, Prince, come here. Like, there's a big difference to me.
Hey, Coach, Cronkite News. My name is Dan Parr. Coming up as a grad assistant, what was that experience like, and kind of how does that play into your background? And then for the grad assistants and student assistants on your staff now, what's their kind of day-to-day life like on your squad?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I think for me, it was, a grind. You're doing everything, and you want to be able to do everything. You get somewhere and they give you tedious tasks because they don't trust you. And then the more trust you build with doing simple things like getting the coffee order right. Now, our guys don't get coffee for us anymore. That's not the style. But when I was in this thing, that's what you did. Some people still do, but guys got coffee for guys. Guys got orders for guys. And if you couldn't remember what was on their Subway sandwich, right, they're going to be like, are you dumb? Like, you can't remember I don't like onion? Like, we've only got it 4 weeks in a row or something like that. So for me, it was, how do I just do everything at a high level to build trust in the person of me? How do I get them to trust me? And if I get them to trust me, maybe they'll ask to make a cut up of, the under front or all the time they bring a twist game. And then if they make a cut up of the twist game, maybe I can make a cut up of the best plays versus them. And then I can present what I think are the best plays. And then I can be blank. So to me, it was always gaining trust through stacking roles, right? So I think for our guys, they come in, they do the tasks that nobody wants to do. They break down the game and put in, people call it all sorts of stuff. They draw all the plays, right? Which every staff does. They break it down. And then the challenge is, what do you do on top of that separates you? And do you have enough trust that somebody can come and give you a project and you can give them an answer and they believe you? Or are they giving you tasks that don't really matter? And I think for me, that was always the challenge is I want to do all the tasks that don't matter to earn my way to get the right of a task that does. And that was just always my mindset. And I think the guys on our staff, I'm pretty demanding on our GAs, analysts, QCs, because, I'm close in age and I've been where they're at. And I've seen a lot of people, most people fail. Most people don't make it in this profession. Like most people, they don't. They stop, they eventually quit, or they're moving every 2 years to a different place. It's very hard to make it. If you want to make it, you have to separate yourself. And you have to separate yourself from other people that are trying to separate themselves. And that's not easy.
Hey, Coach, Jake Sloan, Sun Devil Source. Sam seemed very pocket-oriented and was getting the ball out quick to his tight ends and running backs. How do you think that can just help build the offensive momentum he's built over the past
Yeah, that can be huge. It's an absolute early down passing, control passing is a game changer in football. If you can get really efficient at control passing, it completely changes the game. It changes how teams defend you, changes the run fits. It changes the down and distances. You're at third down, which that was a positive for us last week because we didn't have third and XL very much. So I think that's something that we have to, we have to stay in good down and distance, whether it's running the ball, whether it's RPOing, whether it's screening, whether it's early down passing game, whatever that is. Being able to stay in good down and distances is the key to being an efficient offense. And the key to being a good offense is scoring in the red zone, which we've yet to do.
Hey, Coach. Colin Hogan's Cronkite Sports. I want to talk back on Coach Carrington and the DBs. It seemed like before this week, Tech was getting numerous shot plays, explosives through the air, like it seemed multiple times. They hit on one of those in the first quarter, and you did not allow them to do anything else after that. What does that say about the DBs and how Coach Carrington gets them ready? And then do you think Coach Carrington this week, being a Houston alum himself, is bringing any extra juice to practice?
He shouldn't bring any extra juice. If there's extra juice in 1 week as opposed to another, that's a coaching problem. It should be the exact same amount of juice from that perspective. For him in general, I think he's done a good job. Javen's a guy who's had an unbelievable year on top of Keith. Rodney's shown fast flashes. Nyland, when he's got in, has done a good job. And then I thought that was our safeties and Nichols' best game as well. So I think all 5 of those guys with Coach Ward and Coach Carrington, I thought that was the best game that we've had in the back end, in my opinion. Just covering people, the physicality our corners are playing with is probably what I'm most proud of right now. Covering people's great. They're supposed to cover. I think when people do things that aren't, in the top 3 things of their job description or their role description, that's what you have to praise people for. And you have Javen, who's one of the fastest kids on our team, who's covering his butt off all game, and he's coming up in some quarters in cover 2 and some cover 3 fits, and he is hitting people. And that's the sign of a good team, is when you're doing things that people are never going to talk about. So very pleased with that position group, with the back end this last week. We just got to continue to build.
Quick follow-up to Julia's question about the coaches that we couldn't get you to say who you talked to. After you got that information, who did you talk to? Like, did you just send a group chat to the coaches to say we're hitting? Did any coach have the courage to pull you aside and say, Kenny, it's Halloween, we don't hit anymore? I mean, what did Charlie speak to you? Like, tell us about the reaction of everybody else internally when you said you were going to hit.
Yeah, I just didn't ask period 2. I said we're live, and then we carried on, and then we rocked and rolled from there. So as simple as that. I want people's opinions, but when I get somebody that I respect tells me something that I agree with, I mean, there's no other opinions needed. You've won a lot of games. I agree with you. Boom. That's what we're going to do.
Hey, Coach, building off of some of the recruiting talk from earlier, I'm sure you're aware one of the biggest high school games in the state this year is this Friday. Multiple of your golden ticket players are going to be playing in that game. Are you planning on attending that?
I don't know yet. Just depends. I usually don't attend games for home games. I'm different than a lot of people. I'm about our football team. And it's a game week, and it's Friday. And if people that are from this state choose to come to this school, then I'll care about them. That's simple. Just like I care about our football team. There's a lot of guys who want to be here nationally, across the country, that want to be a part of this football program. So I'm going to focus my energy on the people that are here in this program and pour all into them. And then once the season ends or once the game ends, I can move on to the next part of my job, which is trying to get the next generation of Sun Devils. But I'm always focused, A, on the player who chose to be here over B, the player that I want to be here. I'll always choose A because that person chose to be here.
Hey, Coach. Adam Keenan, Cronkite News. There's been a lot of talk about field stormings and stuff thrown on the field. Just curious your take on that and how that image of those fans on the field helps you to continue that brand that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, college sports is college sports, and people are going to complain and celebrate everything, right? That's what makes it great. There's going to be arguments on both sides of almost everything, right? Every flag, every, field stormed, everything. You're going to have two sides of the argument, right? So I'm not going to pick one because then the other side, won't like it. So I'm just going to kind of filibuster that question for a while until, you think that I filibustered long enough to move on. And yeah, I will say this, we should never judge people by emotional moments. So like players or, coaches or opposing teams' coaches or, in those moments of high energy and fans on the field, and you get a 3-second clip of somebody, you should never judge somebody in those moments. You have no clue what happened prior to that. You have no clue what happened after that. And I never feel like you should judge those players in those moments. I've seen some clips of, some guys, and it's not fair to judge people in those moments. Perfect. Thank you.